Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, September 20th, the 263rd day of the year. There are 102 days left in 2022. And welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Thom. What a show last week with Hina Nauman, all the way from Pakistan. Hina, a joy to interview, gave us insights into her thinking regarding children's books. Our boundaries on TWT are expanding, much like the boundaries for the rest of the world. We will continue to bring you interesting projects from interesting people from around the world. And speaking of interesting projects and people from around the world, our G-list guest today is Chris Heacox. Chris is the executive director of the J and Susie Gogue Performing Arts Center on the campus of Auburn University. Just to give you an idea of some of the shows that will be upcoming at the Gogue Center: Barefoot in the Park, Morning After Grace, Steel Magnolias, Mud Row, 26 Miles, the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. If you've ever been in a spelling bee, I won the spelling bee when I was in elementary school. And a show called Alabama Boys that I am fortunate enough to be in with Michael O'Neill, Wednesday, October 26th and Thursday, October the 27th. We're pretty excited about it and hope you will come and see us. Should be fun. So this edition of Tuesdays with Thom, of course, is sponsored by our partners, the Best Girl Consulting Firm. Best Girl has been providing customized solutions to executive issues for 34 years. Let's hear from Best Girl.
Best Girl is a consulting firm that provides customized leadership, access and inclusion, public relations, communications, and organizational consulting services. Clients include Fortune 500 companies, utilities, higher education institutions, small businesses, and associations. Best Girl's team of consultants, led by Joyce Gilly-Gossam, Emily Hedrick, and Sean Jones, partners with business and education clients to promote organizational effectiveness, communication, motivation, and leadership, with always an impact on the bottom line. Best Girl's customized consulting services include strategic planning, corporate communication, executive coaching, fundraising, and economic development.
The solution that fits your needs. So let's get to our roundtable regulars and introduce Barbara Wallace Edwards and Michael Walker. Barbara Wallace Edwards is an Auburn grad, a native of Mobile, Alabama, and she is a socialite. I guess that's a nice way to say it. There's no downside to it. That's just what I call her. So anyway, she's okay with it. And Michael Walker. Michael Walker is from Atlanta, Georgia. Well, originally he's from Auburn, Alabama, but he lives in Atlanta, Georgia. And I got to see Michael over the weekend. So how we doing, everybody, guys? Barbara, Michael?
Doing well, TG. How are you this morning?
I'm doing fine. I got a question. This question, I'm going to put it to Barbara first. So, Barbara, do you know who the first woman athlete was at Auburn University?
Merritt, I think is her last name. I can't think of her first name. Basketball player, I think.
Say that again.
I think her last name was Merritt, but she's a basketball player, I think.
Okay.
Is that correct?
You think you can find her?
I don't know. I looked for her name. I do know the first African-American basketball player at Auburn. I have tracked her down. She lives in Atlanta. So Wendell Merritt, but also the last name Merritt, but that's not the first athlete. So I'm looking for the first female athlete, and I haven't been able to track her down yet.
Okay, yeah, we need to have that
yes,
as a part of the presentation for the Owens Foundation.
Okay.
We'd like to not just have her, but the forgotten ones, we're celebrating them.
Yes.
And they're all men.
Yes.
And we should celebrate the women as well.
Right.
So if we can start thinking in that direction, that would be great.
Okay.
Okay. So what do you got this morning, Barbara?
Well, Tom, I had a very busy weekend. First up was Ruben Studdard sings Luther Vandross concert was in Birmingham on Friday and Saturday night, and then I had an opportunity to attend the Montgomery Smooth Jazz Festival in Montgomery, and it was a unbelievable lineup. Both of those events were just phenomenal. The Ruben Sings Luther concert was, I think, completely sold out both Friday and Saturday nights at the Dorothy Jemison Day Theater here in Birmingham. And the Smooth Jazz Festival in Montgomery was a packed house as well. So it was a very busy weekend. I didn't even get a chance to watch the game, but I know you guys were there, so I can't wait to hear what you all have to say about,
Let me
about the
comment
game.
on Luther Vandross first.
Yes.
And Ruben.
Yes.
I don't know Ruben, but I did work with Luther Vandross on Touched by an Angel in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Really?
And man, we had a great time. Every time I think about it, I just smile and grin. Luther was Touched by an Angel. I don't know if you remember that show.
Yes, I do.
Something would happen. Something miraculous would happen. Well,
Yes.
Luther was a janitor at this school, and everybody knew he after hours when he would be cleaning and working, he would be singing.
Yes.
And so the principal decided, well, and I was the principal. And so we decided we were going to try to get Luther a singing opportunity. But there was a bit of comedy to the show because Luther, I would be walking down the hall and I would hear Luther singing. And then when Luther left, I'd start singing what Luther was singing. And believe me, hearing me sing was funny. It wasn't intended to be.
I'm going to go back and find that episode.
But it was fun, and I did. I enjoyed it. We enjoyed each other. We had so much fun.
That's great.
Not too long after that, he passed away.
Wow.
But that's one of my highlights in my career is working with Luther Vandross.
I bet that was a highlight. That's phenomenal. I'm going to go back and see if I can find that episode of Touched by an Angel.
I forget. I may have a copy. I forget what the name of it was. Okay. It was one of those things that happens every now and then in Hollywood. Right. My agent called me up. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Waiting on you to call me." He said, "Well, you don't go anywhere. I'm going to call you back in 30 minutes. He said, "Pack a bag because you're going to Salt Lake City."
Oh,
and he called me back. He says, Warner Brothers has got the jet at the airport. You need to get to the airport. And there's going to be another actor going with you and a producer. And we flew to Salt Lake City right after the Olympics.
Wow.
And what a treat for me.
How exciting.
To work with my man Luther. He was great. He says, "You guys are acting and I'm acting." I said, "Well, if you're singing, I don't know what to call this that I'm doing," but it worked out well.
Okay. Awesome.
So, Michael, how are you, man?
I am doing well this morning, TJ. Thanks for asking, and I hope you're doing well, recovered from the weekend. Barbara, I hope you're well, too.
I am, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, Great. It wasn't the best weekend, but, you know, I stopped playing football so long ago, and I stopped being angry over losses or whatever. And so, you know, I'm always for the young men. And in this case, I have empathy for the coach. I really do. It's hard to go from, where did he come from? Boise State?
Boise State, yes.
Hard to go from Boise State to the SEC.
Yes.
And I don't know. Everybody says we don't have any talent. Well, we've always had some talent. I don't know what happened to it, but maybe that situation last year when all the guys were going to leave and there was some upheaval, maybe that hurt more than we thought.
Well, whenever you lose 18 players, you take away your depth, you know?
Right.
And, you know, football is a game of attrition. So you got to have reinforcements to come in there. So I know that our depth is low compared to the rest of the schools in the SEC.
Is that how many people we lost? 18?
Yeah, I think it was 18 or 19 in the transfer portal.
And how many
Wow.
did we pick up some in the transfer
We
portal
pick up
also?
some. We picked up some, yes. But if you're losing 4 stars and you're picking up 3 stars, it's not really an even swap.
Exactly.
I think we picked up like 14 in the transfer portal, but we lost like 18 or 19, and a lot of them was along the defensive line, and some of them were offensive players too. So that hurt.
Well, I can tell you, I stayed at a hotel in Montgomery, and there were tons of Penn State people there. The Penn State team was actually staying across the street in hotels, and so a lot of the fans were at the hotel I was in, and they had nothing but wonderful things to say about their experience at Auburn. They talked about how much class and professionalism, the people in the stands, and just the people on campus, and everyone was so hospitable and inviting them to their tailgates. So if we didn't win, we may not have won the football game, but we won the popularity contest among the fans. They were very positive in their comments.
We were in the hotel, and there were about 5 gentlemen with Penn State shirts on. They were nice guys, and so I struck up a conversation with them, and they said that very thing, how nice everybody was to them, and so on and so forth. And I said, well, let me tell you guys one thing. I said, yeah, people here at Auburn, they're pretty nice. They're real friendly. I said, now, if you were in Tuscaloosa and you won that game and you walking around with this Penn State shirt on, or if you were in Baton Rouge walking around with this Penn State shirt on, I said, you'd have to pull that shirt off and go. You'd have to go to your room and pull that shirt off.
You were correct.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. It was funny how they came over and they kind of looked at us. They knew we were Auburn people, They could tell, but they kind of looked at it and they spoke. One gave us a fist bump and stuff, and we were cordial and everything. Right. But I will have to say, although we lost on the field, and from my vantage point, I was disappointed with the lack of tenacity that I saw displayed on the field. And I don't know what that was about. I could see body language in the players when they made a mistake. I text Thom during the game, and I said, we don't have any alpha males on the offense. You got to have some alpha males on your team that's going to say, we're going to go get it. You're going to go with me or not, but I'm going to show you how to do it. And I just didn't see that. But I am happy about one battle we won. The Auburn Marching Band refused to leave the stadium until after Penn State left. They have a policy that Auburn Band will be the last band in the stadium, win or lose. And so the Penn State Band was trying to take over the stadium, and the Auburn Band would not let that happen. As a matter of fact, I read that after the game, I think it was the tuba section, they were leaving and they saw the Penn State Band striking up. They turned around and went back, and they went toe to toe with them. So we won the battle of the bands. And they did not allow Penn State to take over Jordan Hare Stadium. So I'm proud.
Maybe we should put some of the band members in the transfer portal in and see if they can play football.
Let them transfer from band to football. But, guys, I did get a chance to watch the game, but I went back and looked at some of the stats from the game, and they all looked even pretty much between both teams, except for turnovers, of course. But everything else was pretty much even. So I'm thinking, how could the score be that lopsided when the stats were so even?
Well,
even time of possession, first down conversions, all of that stuff is just. I'm looking at.
I don't like our offensive scheme. I don't, and I didn't like it last year. I thought our scheme was horrible.
Right.
And now I don't know if this is the same scheme that we used last year or whatever, but Michael made the comment about alpha males. I can tell you, I've been in games where guys would come in the huddle, and I'm just going to say it like this, and slap the shit out of one of the guys who wasn't blocking, Right. Come on, man. What's wrong with you?
Right.
And tell coach, take him out. So I don't see that. I don't see, maybe that's what you can talk about when you talk about alpha males, but I don't see that. there is a thing, like I said, we never lost a home game. That was a matter of pride. And the funny thing was those guys from Penn State, they said, man, we were shocked. He says, because we're not that good.
Wow.
So I don't know. We'll just have to see what's next.
Yeah, well, we have Missouri coming up. We will see what's next. That's homecoming coming up this week. So hopefully they will defend the home field.
Who is good, and sometimes you just have to let a kid play it out. I was impressed with him when he was at Alabama, and I'm impressed with him now that he's at the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts comes to play.
Yes.
And I thought Nick Saban did him a wrong when he took him out and gave that job to Tua.
Right.
Between Jalen Hurts and Tua, I prefer Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
And he's just got this thing that says he wants to win. I'm so happy for him. I'm proud for him. And I tell you another one I'm proud for, and the kid at Tennessee. We said this when that kid was drafted in the third round, fourth round, that he would be playing before the third or fourth game of the season. Before the season's over, he's going to be starting. So they just got him cheap.
Yes.
Tell people who you're talking about, Thom.
Malik Willis.
Malik Willis, who was at Auburn, by the way, before Bo.
Yes.
I'm not going to let you, if you're gonna bring it up, I'm gonna tell it like it is. Malik Willis was on the team at Auburn a year or two before Bo was there, and Gus Malzahn would never let him play. And when he let him play, all he did was run the ball and wouldn't let him throw the ball. And so he made Bo Nix the quarterback, the starter, and Malik transferred to Liberty and tore it up. And now he's at the Tennessee Titans.
And doing a great job.
And we'll be starting before the year is over. That's my prediction.
Yes.
I never was, Tannehill's pretty one-dimensional. And this kid gives you options. One thing I think the NFL has to admit, the game's changed. You got to have somebody that's durable, who can not only throw a bullet. Maybe you can get away with Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady for the rest of their careers. But the guys that are coming in there now are going to have to be able to be multidimensional. They're going to have to be able to do some things that previous quarterbacks hadn't had to do. And that kid is incredible. He's great. And I watched a thing on Jalen Hurts, and his dad was a coach.
Yeah.
And I always thought they favored Tua, and I still think Tua is favored right now.
Yes.
So we'll see where it goes. Okay, what else we got here?
Well, Thom, I want to share something with the audience from the House of Health and Science and Technology. There's a phenomenon going on with people that work with Google, Meta, and all of the high-tech companies, and it's called leg lengthening surgery. A gentleman, $75,000 to have leg lengthening surgery to make him 3 inches taller.
What?
He will spend $1,200 a month on repayments for the next 5 years. There's a doctor out in Las Vegas, and the procedure initially was started to help people with certain conditions, but now it's become cosmetic. And the surgery can cost between $70,000 and $150,000, depending how much the patient wants to grow, whether 3 inches, 4 inches, 5 or 6. And the way they do it is they break your femur bone and put in nails in the bone. And it's several months of a process and painstaking to go through this. And what they do is every day they increase the length by remote control in the leg. Yes.
Wow.
This guy by the name of Dr. Debershad, who is in Las Vegas, he's the one that started it. And he has tech workers from Google, Amazon, Microsoft, and Meta. And this guy that decided to do it, that borrowed the $75,000, he said he felt like the world tended to bend to taller men. And he was 5 feet 8 inches tall. It says 5 feet 8.5. And the average male height in America is 5'9". So he wanted to add 3 inches to his height, which would make him about 5'11", I guess, 5'11 and a half. And he said he could tell the difference by the way he looks at the gym now that he's taller.
Oh my God.
Wow.
What is this world coming to?
Best to him. Best to him. That's all I could say. Huh?
Yes. That
I
seems
don't know.
really risky to add 3 inches of height. And
you got to put nails. You got to first break your thigh bone intentionally and then insert these nails.
Oh my God.
And then extend them every day.
And they're extended by remote control?
By remote control.
How you do how you do that? How does he do that?
Thom, I don't know, and I really don't want to know.
I can't imagine. I can tell I broke my arm and I have a metal screw in my arm, and I know how painful that was and that whole healing process. I can't imagine doing that.
Speaking of metal screws, what about when he goes to get on the airplane? He's going to set off the alarms like something else, right?
Yes. You have to walk around with the document from a medical ID, basically saying you have metal parts in your body, and they still will scan you, and it doesn't help a whole lot, but I have to carry that around with me.
Well, so, when we went into football game Saturday, you got to get all the metal out of your pockets and so on and so forth. I had knee replacement surgery. And,
right.
It didn't set anything off or anything. So, I've actually flown since I had this surgery. So,
okay.
And it didn't. I just told them as I was going through it. So, but let me say this too, and Michael can testify to this because he was there. I had when I was on my way to rehearsal over the weekend at the Gogue Center, which we will talk about here in a minute with our G-list guest, Chris Heacox. I had a flat tire. I mean, when's the last time you had a flat tire, man?
Wow.
And but what I will say is this: there was a police officer. Luckily, these young boys, and I don't know what they did, but they were pulled over by the police officer. And I went up to talk to him and asked him if he could help me. And he said, I'll help you, but in other words, let me write these boys this ticket first. And he didn't say it like that. Right. But he did. I think they were from out of town. Weren't they, Michael? Didn't they have an out-of-town tag?
Yes, they were from out of town. Yeah.
I just want to say publicly, I commend that police officer, man. He helped me. I hadn't had a flat in so long. I didn't even know. They said, well, where's your spare? I said, man, I don't even know if I got a spare, Who keeps a spare anymore? And so we looked in the little compartment where the spare is supposed to be, and there's nothing there. And I said, man, I ain't got a spare. This police officer comes and gets under the car and finds the spare underneath the car.
Oh, wow.
And he gets in there, and I mean, and this man got dirty, and he was certainly a blessing to me. So I commend the Auburn Police Department on Officer Thompson. He was great, and I ended up. I called AAA, but sometimes you don't know how long they're going to be.
Right.
But the guy from AAA, Dennis, did come before the officer finished, and so thanks to AAA and Officer Thompson from the Auburn Police Department, AAA, and Dennis. I don't know Dennis's last name, but they were very, very helpful to me. So wonderful. Thank you.
Barbara, it was so funny. I said, Thom, where's your jack? He said, I don't know.
Hey.
Thom, I expect that from me, but from you, I never would have expected that.
Hey. I don't fool around too much with Jack and stuff. You know what? It was it had been under there so long. It was so dirty.
Right.
You know,
but yeah, you're right, because I got down and looked under there and didn't see it. You know, but I didn't. But the officer laid flat on the pavement and looked under, and that's where he saw it. Because I figured, I figured it was underneath,
above
because
and beyond the Call of Duty right there.
Yeah, it was a SUV, and I said, well, it's got to be under. So I got down on a knee and leaned under to see it, but I didn't see it. Then the officer just laid flat and looked up, and he found it, and we got it out. And then I found a jack. I said, okay, Thom, here's your jack right here in the base. So, it was funny, though.
Anything else from you guys? I want to say that when you came up with this 3 inches, I said, oh, Lord, where is this going?
Oh.
This 3-inch extension. It's like, where is he going with this? You know, this is a family show.
Watch out there, Thom.
Okay, anything else? Well, let's get Sean on here. We've got a minute. Sean, where are you?
Good morning. My name is Sean Jones, and this is Got a Minute. Hello to everyone joining in with us this morning. I hope you all are well and in great spirits today. It's Tuesday, September 20th, and on this day in 2011, the federal government repeals Don't Ask, Don't Tell, a law that had allowed gay people to serve in the U.S. Armed Services only if they kept their sexual orientation a secret. Former President Barack Obama said, as of today, patriotic Americans in uniform will no longer have to lie about who they are in order to serve the country they love. Service members discharged under Don't Ask, Don't Tell were allowed to re-enlist. Thank you all for joining in. My name is Sean Jones, and this has Got a Minute.
Okay, well, Sean, we're going to have to start keeping Sean on for a minute or two so we can discuss those things. I remember how controversial that was.
Yes.
The fact that you couldn't ask people about their sexual orientation.
Right.
And, well, kind of how unnecessary it was, you know.
Well, that was what I was about to say. If you go in to fight in the war, who cares?
Right.
You know.
And if you've already been in the service for years, you just been in the closet.
Right.
Who cares?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
We can think of the damnedest things to get all bent out of shape about. Why would I care? Hey, man.
Absolutely.
You know, being in the film and television business, you know, you don't like gay people, you probably should be in the business. You know? So, I don't know. I just never really got too upset over that. So.
No. I believe in live and let live.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Who are we to judge? Everyone has something different about them. So that's just, that's just personal choice.
Yeah.
I think, and I'd like to maybe talk about divisive politics, but division in politics works. And one other quick thing before we go, we got to get to our G-list guest, but I saw Herschel made another statement.
Yes, he did.
I think Herschel might win if he shut up. You know,
Thom,
every time he opens his mouth,
I hope not.
Well,
he's gonna have to eventually open his mouth if he wins or loses. He's gonna have to open his mouth.
What did he say? Now, he was class valedictorian, and when he started out talking, now he says he's not that smart.
Now he's not that smart. You know, he's saying he's gonna be in this debate with Senator Warnoff, and he said Senator Warnock's going to show up in his suits and he's well educated. And he said, I'm just not that smart. So I'm just going to show up and do the best I can.
Oh, so now he's going for the sympathy and empathetic vote. Okay.
Yes.
Well, he's also going for the vote. I don't know how quite to put it. That's not smart. Let me put it that way. That's,
right.
Kind of the good old boy vote, who maybe didn't go to college or don't feel like they're very smart or whatever, but I don't know. Googly woogly. I don't know.
He's got a new PR team behind him now. And so I guess they're advising him to just go ahead and admit you're not smart and maybe you'll get some sympathy votes, I think.
Just go ahead and admit you're not smart. Go ahead and admit you didn't graduate. What did he say? He graduated?
Top 1%.
At Georgia.
Georgia.
Go ahead and admit all those children out there are yours. And, just go ahead and admit all the things you lied about early on. And we'll see where it goes. Anyway, Hollywood's got the A list, and on Tuesdays with Thom, we have the G list. Our G list guest today is Christopher J. Heacox, who is the inaugural executive director of the J. and Susie Gogue Performing Arts Center at Auburn University, where he leads the artistic, administrative, and philanthropic direction of the center. His leadership in performing arts presenting spans over 17 years, including opening night performing arts at Florida State University, Friday Musicale at Jacksonville, Florida, the Porter Center for the Performing Arts in North Carolina, and the Riverside Fine Arts Association in Jacksonville, Florida. He's a graduate of Florida State University and the Eastman School of Music at the University of Rochester. Let's get him on here and let's talk to Mr. Heacox.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing great. How are y'all doing?
We're doing just fine. Doing fine. I've kind of taken up some of the time, so I'm going to let Barbara and Michael start out with. Barbara, you got questions for Mr. Heacox?
I do, Chris. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, and we're delighted to have you. And I haven't had an opportunity to visit the Performing Arts Center, but I will next month. I will be going to see Alabama boys. So I want you to talk a little bit about what your mission is there at the J. and Susie Gogue Performing Arts Center.
Yeah, we're here to engage our community, our campus, and our state of Alabama and beyond in the performing arts. That's from bringing world-class artists from around the world for our audiences, to being able to provide a amazing acoustic and visual space for our students and community and friends to be able to use and present their gifts as well.
That is awesome. And I understand you've had some major artists to perform there. Can you talk a little bit about who you have and who you have coming up?
Yeah, we've we opened in August of 2019, and so through those years, and through a pandemic, we've still been able to accomplish our mission and bring in some amazing artists. We've had everybody from this year. We've had Vince Gill and Clint Black, so we've had a couple of A-list country artists. Previously, we've had Patti LaBelle grace our stages. We've had just a number of amazing artists, from dance artists to classical artists. We've had Broadway shows all the way from, we've had Anastasia last year. We've had Rent. We've had just amazing things, and a great season ahead of us as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay,
Michael.
Okay, Michael.
Chris, thanks for being with us today. We're glad you're here with us to tell us about the Performing Arts Center. Question, because we're much like preparing for a big game when you're and what have you, and you have people that are supposed to play certain roles. Do you get the jitters before performing an open night?
That's a good question. I guess it depends. It depends on what it is. I would say we probably did when we were first opening the building, because we didn't know if it would work or not. and it doesn't change. but we have such an amazing staff that work here that make everything go seamlessly, that the worry just isn't there anymore. I think I was telling y'all when we first came on last week, we are having some technical issues 30 minutes before we were supposed to open the curtain for AJ Croce, who's the late Jim Croce's son. And our amazing tech crew got us up and running in less than 20 minutes. And we only had to delay the performance for 15 minutes. So to that point, I mean, that's one of those things where you could worry yourself sick about, but show must go on. It's gone on for hundreds of years, and we've got an amazing staff that can make things happen pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Well, following up on that, I know now everything is centered around technology and what have you. How has technology impacted what you're doing in performing arts now, and has it made it better or caused more problems? Just tell us about the impact of technology.
Yeah, that's a great question. During the pandemic, when the pandemic first started, I think that was really the impetus for us in what technology could do to reach more people. We were very deliberate about making sure that we were able to reach our audiences, even if we were not allowed to gather together in the space. So we provided some graduating music students from our Department of Music here at Auburn University to present their final recitals for graduation and stream it to friends and family and those across the country. We also produced a Alabama artist series where we had artists from Birmingham, from Muscle Shoals, and from Dauphin Island perform, and then also stream out educational content throughout the state and beyond. And then when we were able to start gathering a little bit more, and we had Wynton Marsalis and Jazz at Lincoln Center here and the Count Basie Orchestra, we were able to stream their educational concerts to schools all across Alabama. So typically when we have those kind of school shows, we bring in the students from Lee County schools, from Auburn City schools, Opelika City schools, the surrounding area, and experience something in the theater. But with technology and be able to stream these things, we were able to reach many more students across our state. And so, that's one of the things that we really were able, that was a benefit and of going through the pandemic, and something that, we are going to continue to work on so that we're able to not only impact our students and our young people here locally, but also throughout the state and beyond.
You've also got an outside space where you can host events. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. We have an amphitheater, the Ham Amphitheater, that's outside, and it provides us an opportunity to be able to reach more people. So our theater, our Waltos Theater, holds about 1,204 patrons. But when we do a show outside, we can have upwards of about 5,000 people.
Wow.
So it gives us an opportunity to be able to host bigger shows. We've had everything from Ziggy Marley to the Beach Boys to Vince Gill. We have a number of different concerts coming. We have Smokey Robinson coming up in April out there. So it's a really amazing space for people to have just kind of a relaxed outdoor performance space. And it was also one of the reasons why we were able to open earlier through the pandemic. We were presenting concerts in April of last year before many other places were able to reopen, because we were able to do it safely outside.
Let's talk about that for a minute. So when did you take the job?
I was here in July of 2017.
Okay, so you leave your previous job, you take this job, and you come up here in this magnificent space, and all this is going on, and then the pandemic hits.
Yeah. Did
you have an oh shit moment?
Thom, we all did. Our industry is big, but it's not that big, and we all in in the entertainment industry and not just in performing arts, we're like, what's going to happen next?
Yeah.
And I think what we had to do is what we all know is we control what we can control, and work through it, and also understand what a blessing it is for all of us to be able to gather and do what we do. And so with that in mind, we just worked the best that we could to provide, as much entertainment and resources as we possibly could.
Okay. Michael, Barbara?
Chris, can you talk a little bit about the sponsorship opportunities there at the center, and how people can get involved in supporting the center?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So one of the wonderful things about the shows that we present is that we have amazing people and businesses out there that want to support them and want us to be able to bring these outstanding shows. We would not be able to bring the world-class artists that we have here if we didn't have individuals that were able to underwrite them. So we have an outstanding sponsorship program that you can check out at our website, which is Gogue Center, Gogue, center.auburn.edu, all different levels to be able to provide sponsorship support for us to be able to bring these amazing artists to our community. And there's benefits tied to them. Everyone likes parking passes and tickets and all sorts of things like that. And so you can check it out again on our website, gougecenter.auburn.edu, under our giving section.
Michael?
Chris, I'm interested in how do you come up with your schedule of performances? How do you come up with the ideas of what we need to do? Is it based on the audience or something? Just how do you go about setting that type of schedule?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's multifaceted. The first thing is we are the university presenter at Auburn University. So we are a land grant institution. And so we want to make sure that we are providing as diverse a season and diverse group of artists that we possibly can. My goal in doing what I do is always, I want to have one thing for everybody in the community. That's kind of how I look at it. I want everybody to be able to have something that they are kind of holding on to, that they want to go to every year. Now, if they want to go to everything, that's even better, but the goal is at least one thing. So we really try to provide something for everybody. So, we break our series down into different genres. So we have classical music, chamber music, and orchestra. We have dance and movement for those that are interested in dance. We have a concert series. We have our Broadway series, which is also very, very popular. We have our amphitheater series, which is for outside. And then we have celebrity series as well. So we try to do something for everybody. And then from a selection standpoint, that's all over the place as well, because I really elicit feedback from patrons, donors, community members, everybody. They say, hey, I just went to this concert in Atlanta and I saw this artist. I think they'd be great at the Gogue Center. Or, my friends and I went to Texas and saw this, or whatever it is. We really want people to bring those ideas to us. And then I work with other people that are booking shows in our region, and we try to what's called block book. So it's to route things through our area. It makes it so that the travel is easier for the artist, and also makes it so that things are more affordable, because if you can route it through, it makes more sense financially for the tour. But sometimes that's not possible. Sometimes things are just flown in. And then the last thing is I work with agents from all across the United States, New York, LA, Nashville, and other places, with just looking at artists that are available and ones that are interesting, and we book the shows.
Sounds like a lot that goes into it. You said early on something about we're a land grant institution. For those who may not know that, explain what that means and how that encompasses what you have to do from a performance art standpoint.
Yeah. So, we basically have three tenets here at the university: instruction, research, and outreach. And so from that standpoint, we want to make sure that we're touching those three things in everything that we do. So when we bring an artist in, like in next week, we have Jessica Vosk. Jessica is a Broadway star. She was Elphaba in Wicked, and she's going to come in and do a multi-hour masterclass with our theater students. So those theater students are able to work hand in hand with an artist that's living in New York, that's on Broadway, that's touring, and to be able to kind of get that instruction from somebody. So for us, we're reaching that instruction part of it with the artists that we're bringing in and providing those resources to our students in the community. Another instance, we have Complexions Contemporary Ballet from New York in the spring coming in. They're going to do 3 ballet master classes and working with local dance studios and people that are just interested in taking a class. And so we're providing that engagement, that outreach to our community through the artists that are coming here as well.
You know, in Alabama, everything revolves around football. And I've tried to get people who aren't Auburn people to understand this ain't got nothing to do with football, man.
Right.
You know, so you can go to the Gogue Center and it'll be fine.
Yes.
What's our geographic boundary, so to speak? How far out do you go to get people to come to the center?
That's great. We actually have a pretty wide geographic area for shows. We have people that come in from Atlanta. We have people come in from Birmingham. We have people that come in from Huntsville. We have people that come in from Montgomery. And then all the surrounding areas around there, LaGrange and so forth. It's really interesting. And you know, it's driven by the shows. So, you know, there may be a show that we have here that's not playing in Atlanta, that's not playing somewhere else, and people want to see it, they're going to drive over. And, you know, we're not landlocked here in Auburn, which is great. And, you know, it's easy to get here from wherever you may be. And so, and then the other thing is, you know, people can, Thom, you know, it might not just be football, but they can come for here on a Thursday to see a concert, and then Friday hang out with their friends, play golf, and then go to a game on Saturday. So that's not unheard of either. So, you know, and then in the spring it's basketball. We may have a Broadway show and they go see a basketball game the next day. So I think we provide another entertainment opportunity for those that are already coming in town for all the sports and all the season tickets that they have. We're just adding one more to their list.
Okay. Well, I don't want to brag. I don't want to talk about myself. So
why not?
You talk about
I was going to ask.
It's your show.
Let's
Thom.
talk about Alabama boys.
Why don't I interview you for a second, Thom? Why don't you tell us how this idea came about?
I think when the university was doing the capital campaign, we were raising money all over the country, and we would put on I don't know skits, but live performances to get the alums excited about what was happening, what was going to happen with the money. And then Michael O'Neill, I was heading that thing up, and Michael O'Neill joined us. And you guys know Michael O'Neill's a great actor. He's been in Hollywood 30 some odd years, 40 some odd years. And if you don't know him, look him up. But the man's been in a little bit of everything.
Yes.
And Walt Wolto says, you know, you and Michael ought to do some kind of show together. You guys are good together. And that was where the idea was born. And then after the center was built, former President Jay Gogue says, you know, we got all these people coming from all over the country, from all over the world, and we don't have any Auburn people performing. And so the idea of Alabama Boys was born. It's a show that Michael and I put together October 26th and 27th at the Gogue. And it's about growing up in Alabama. I always say growing up separate and unequal. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We're excited about it. We've got we've been having our rehearsals, and so I'm excited about it. I think it's been both of us, neither one of us has been on the stage in a while. You know, we do a lot of
Mhm.
film and television, but we haven't been on the stage. So it's exciting. We were in Auburn this past weekend, and there was a meet and greet where people came out to meet us and to see us. And so, Alabama boys, that's us. Come see us. Should be fun.
Thom, I have a question just for a little bit of context. You grew up in Birmingham. Where did Michael O'Neal grow up in Alabama?
Montgomery.
He was in Montgomery.
Montgomery.
Okay. Yeah.
And
okay.
I tell you this, what's really interesting is we talk about things that happen in our lives at certain ages. When I was 12 and he was 12, or he was 13 and whatever, and how those parallel lives passed each other. We were at Auburn at the same time. We never met. We were in Los Angeles for the longest. We never met. And so this is sort of a come together thing of how we met. We actually met in Los Angeles after we'd both been there for a long time. And it was Alfre Woodard, the great actress, that introduced us. We both worked with her, and Alfre had a birthday party for her husband one night. I don't know how I got invited, but I was there. And and a bunch of stars were there, and Alfre came over to me and she said, "I got somebody I'd like for you to meet. He's from Alabama." And it's like, you don't meet too many people out there from Alabama.
Right.
And I went over and I saw him, and I said, "I know that guy," because I recognized him from school, but I didn't know him. And he looked at me and he said, "I know him." And we've just been kind of hanging together ever since.
Wow.
And this opportunity came up, so I think we're both excited about doing it. And so hopefully it's going to be a big evening for a lot of people. A lot of students, alums will be there. And I've had people who aren't Auburn related who know me through different businesses or what have you. And so they'll be there as well. So, and I don't know how the name Alabama Boys fell on us, but it's kind of perfect. And so we're looking forward to it. We're excited about it.
Yeah.
That is exciting.
Yeah, I think it's kind of intriguing when you look at the title. You both are from Alabama, one from Birmingham, one from Montgomery. You both end up at Auburn, and then you have the ethnic background. One of you happen to be white, one happened to be black, but you come together, and the common denominator is that you both are Auburn alumni. You know, and you say that you
both are actors.
You both are actors, and you grew up separate, and you say unequal, I think is what you said, or what have you. But it's going to be interesting. Unequal. It's going to be interesting to see how that comes together on stage.
Yes.
And that's what I'm looking to see, the dynamics of that.
I tell you one thing that's interesting. Michael says, when he left Alabama and went to California, and I'd never heard, I had heard this once before from another guy who is from Alabama, who was working at Auburn. And they both said, Michael, they said that they tried to hide their heritage because there are not a lot of people from Alabama. And if you were, in his case, both guys I know, if you were white and from Alabama, then you were dumb. You wasn't going to make it in the business. Don't even know why you were out there, kind of thing. And then for me, it was different because everywhere I met, I introduced myself by saying, "My name's Thom Gosselin. I'm from Alabama." But that was my way of starting a conversation, because if I told them I was from Alabama, man, they were intrigued. They wanted to know more about it, and we would talk about Alabama and so on and so forth. So I think that's where the play comes from. Alabama being a central character in the play, and Alabama has a lot of contradictions, but you always got to be proud of who you are and where you're from. So that's sort of where it stopped. So,
Thom, I know that you and Michael both are just phenomenal in your own right. So I can't wait to see you both on the stage together. That's going to be very, very interesting. I can't wait.
We're excited. I mean, we talk about things from where we are now in terms of our careers and what happens in Hollywood. And we go all the way back to the colored water fountain at the Woolworths on 3rd Avenue in downtown Birmingham. How you had to go downstairs and there were the two fountains. One was white and one was colored. And you had to deal with that. And all the changes that happened throughout. And the other thing, and like I said, there's a lot of contradictions, but George Wallace was the governor and he was the chair of the board. The governor was always chair of the board at Auburn and at Alabama. And whenever we would fly off somewhere to a game, we would fly out of Montgomery and he would come see us off. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why, but he always chose me because at that point, there's only 2 black guys on the team, but he chose me and he'd always come over and shake my hand and he talked with me and stuff. And I don't know. I still to this day can't quite figure out what that was about, but it's probably one of the contradictions that exist within the state of Alabama. One minute you're this way and then the next minute you're that way.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Thom. A perfect example of the contradiction is the fact when you had your flat tire and you and I were together and we pulled into the frat house parking lot because I say, Thom, pull there is safer. So we pull into the frat house parking lot. Think about that, right? We're in Auburn.
Right.
And we're on the frat row. And I said, Thom, pull into the frat house parking lot. So you and I get out to examine your flat tire. And then there's a police officer and you go walk up to him. Now, most people will say in Alabama, you 2 black guys that are not necessarily small going up to the police officer talking to him and you pulled into the frat parking lot and he comes in and helps you with your flat tire, and
talk about a contradiction.
Yeah, he doesn't come in trying to ransack our cars or looking through or do anything like that. It was more about, let's get this problem solved. How can I help?
And I mean, when I approached him, because he was dealing with these young men and they weren't real happy. They were getting a ticket for something. And I just said, excuse me, officer, I got a flat tire here. Could you help me? And he said, I'll be glad to. Let me finish with these guys. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, I didn't know what he could do. I certainly didn't expect him to get on the ground.
Right.
And start trying to roll that spare tire. That spare tire has probably been there since I had the car, So it was, it's part of the contradictions, I think, of Alabama. And it's really interesting that in California, Michael, he had to hide. He was from Alabama, and I could proudly say I was from Alabama because it's kind of, I was a black guy and I was from Alabama, so maybe they felt sorry for me or something. I don't know. Maybe they felt like, well, he's not bad. And then Michael, like Michael said they felt like he was racist and he wasn't smart. And I think that certainly became a challenge for him. And that's probably one of the reasons why he's been so successful out there. Other questions? Chris, do you have anything you'd like to talk about that we didn't hit?
No, we hit it all. And I appreciate the time today. This is fun.
Well, we appreciate you. And of course I appreciate the Gogue. And I went to the Kenny G concert. He was so much fun. The Gogue. He just got a kick.
He kept on saying it. Yeah. I know. He was digging into it, wasn't
he? I kept looking over at President Gogue, who, if you know him, I'm sure after about an hour, he was ready to go.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right about that.
Anyway, all right.
And Kenny G's standing right there saying that and doesn't even realize that Gogue is sitting right next to him.
Sitting there, right. He has no idea.
I know. Googe. The Googe. What kind of name is the Googe? Okay.
Well, Chris,
well,
I just want to say thanks for coming, and I think you're doing a great job, and I really appreciate how you explain and expound how you work with the Performing Arts Center and the way you go about setting your schedule. I think that was very informative to everybody, especially touching on what land grant means and how you go about adapting to those 3 goals and objectives. So I want to say thank you and commend you on your job.
Thank you, Michael.
I agree with Michael totally. We thank you so much for joining us today and for what you're doing there at the Gogue Center. The lineup for this year as well as past years has been absolutely wonderful, and I'm excited. I've planned to attend events before, but again, looking forward to attending my first event next month. So thank you for what you're doing.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
I'd like to say one further thing when you mentioned about the land grant and outreach, but it's a great opportunity for the university to reach out into those outlying communities, the small towns that surround the university, because Auburn, my opinion, is the economic engine for Southeast Alabama.
Yes,
and
it is.
It's great that we're able to bring school buses of kids over there, man. I can't remember being in elementary school and going on one of those trips and what you learn. And maybe it influences you for the rest of your life. Who knows? Maybe you know, if you're living in a little town and you come to the Gogue and you think, you know, maybe one day I could do that.
Yes.
And maybe that sets you on a path. So, well, thank you so much, Chris. We appreciate it. Thanks, Michael, Barbara, and everybody. So we will move on to the closing commentary. Thank you, guys. Okay, my closing commentary for today, or as I see it, it doesn't take much of a leader to be divisive. You just figure out what issues people are passionate about and feed those people some red meat, especially when the majority of those people may be ignorant to the facts that comprise that issue. Now, when I say ignorant, I include myself in that category because there's nothing bad about being ignorant. It just means you don't know, and it means you have to certainly find out for yourself. But certainly all the issues we debate back and forth on TWT, I am not an expert on. But growing up in Alabama in the George Wallace era, I recognize divisiveness when I see it. Wallace was a master at it. He makes the dividers of today look like amateurs. The idea of putting people on a bus and sending them to a state that did not ask for them is pure amateur divisive politics. Too bad we don't have any more to offer than that. And that is how I see it on September the 20th in the year 2022. And that's our show for today. Thank the audience. We appreciate you. Thank Michael and Barbara. Thank our G-List guest, Chris Heacox. Thank our sponsor, Best Girl. Thank Emily Hedrick, the communicator. Thank Sean Jones, the organizer and producer of the show. And Got a Minute. Remember, enjoy yourself. Make every day count. Stay safe. Peace.